Hello, plinkers and airgun enthusiasts, and all you Crosman full auto lovers, and in this case, for this platform, all you AR trainers and everybody who just wants to get mix and match and everything and get into it and make this platform your own platform. If you followed my two other videos, I did mention the fact that I don't want to get too deep into it, so this is going to be my final installation before we get into requiring tools and actually modifying stuff and, voiding your warranty. And so now, mix and match. What are my warnings? What are my tips and tricks? I would say mix and match all you want between the R1, the A4P, and the Bushmaster. You can mix and match all you want. The uppers and lowers are going to fit. The buffer tubes, the bolt carrier assembly, it's all going to function. You should not have any problems with that. The barrels, inner barrel, barrel extensions, suppressors, your buffer tube mods, messing around with the buffer tube, we're going to need tools for that. You are going to maybe have to finagle and modify parts and make them fit. So this is to conclude the no tools required a part of selecting your first Crosman. And if you're like everybody else who loves these guns, these air guns, you're going to want to mix and match. And so as I said, mix and match all you want between the R1, the A4P, and the Bushmaster. And the reason I don't mention DPMS in this is because I am 99% sure that the DPMS has a different size. It's not actually the bolt carrier group that's all different size. It's just the bolt carrier. So this is my 2018 DPMS bolt carrier. I did caliper, so feel free to caliper yourselves. If you have a newer version of the DPMS that actually comes with the C-clip on this ring, let me know what your bolt carrier the thickness is, because when I caliper my bolt carrier thickness from 2018, this guy is thicker than the bolt carrier from even my A4P from just last year, this Christmas, and my bolt carrier, where is it? Yeah, from the Bushmaster. Even though I take this guy out. I'm just doing random clips with my caliper because I'm filming, but you can see just with my other comparison, the thickness on the DPMS, or at least the 2018 model, the DPMS, the steel or the alloy here is thicker. And so this thickness makes your bolt carrier thicker. So when you swap a DPMS into an A4P, an R1, or a Bushmaster, what's going to happen is, or at least what happened to me after I got my Bushmaster, is the bolt carrier would get stuck in the buffer tube, and I would always have to recock and bang my stock so that the thickness of this would dislodge from the internals of the buffer tube. So that's pretty much my only cautions as to mix and matching, because if you mix and match the DPMS with any of the others, you will damage your internals. And just to show you, my Bushmaster, when I got it in 2019, it was the first generation Bushmaster. Of course, I enjoyed my DPMS a lot. I didn't want to mess around with having to put a drop of silicone oil on this seal here so that my seal would stop flipping around. So I used the Bushmaster bolt carrier in my DPMS. And I immediately took out my DPMS buffer tube, because back in the day I did not file this down. I didn't modify it, so I just wanted a full DPMS that was full mil spec. So I put everything in my DPMS. I put my DPMS bolt carrier and buffer tube on my Bushmaster, and the first plinking session that I did after that switch with my DPMS was the first time I noticed a problem with locking back, the lockback mechanism. So bear in mind, this had been a year. I shot thousands and thousands from 2018 to 2019. I shot multiple thousands of rounds through my DPMS. I never had any problems with the bolt catch release or anything, the bolt locking back or anything like that. The second plinking session I had, after swapping all of this around, I immediately started having bolt catch issues. I had to take it apart. I did take my bolt catch release, and I heated it, and I tapped it gently to angle it downwards. As you can see on this bolt catch release, it's angled downwards. So I heated it, I tapped it downwards, and after that it was working fine. And it worked fine for thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds until this winter, until my last video, when I showed you guys all my accessories and I showed you that my basic review / comparison. I put everything back the way it was. I put the DPMS back in the DPMS. I put the bolt carrier group from the Bushmaster back in the Bushmaster. And the plinking session the next day, literally after a couple hundred rounds, I sheared off my bolt catch release. So yeah, if you got a newer model of the DPMS and you got a caliper and you can caliper it, feel free to put it in the comments. Send me your measurements. But if you fire, it's gonna fire. You swap everything around with a DPMS, it's gonna fire. You're gonna put your mag in, and hopefully you watch my mag video, because now you know how to make it work. It's gonna fire a couple hundred rounds, but if you're moving everything around and you're mixing, matching, and you're not being careful, if you swap with the DPMS and any of the other models, after thousands and thousands of rounds, you will wear and tear the internals. Yeah, see, it's even broke. It even started shearing in that direction on top of shearing in this direction. And if this is my bolt carrier from a DPMS that was in my this is my bolt carrier from the Bushmaster that was in my DPMS for thousands and thousands of rounds. You can see all this right here, everything, all the paint is worn off. Well, that's because this piece of bolt carrier here was completely angled, warped like a banana out to this side. So I heated it. I tried warping it back into place, but this is cast. It's not forged or anything. This is just a cast piece. The heat and forcing it wasn't doing anything, so I banged it into place, and then I filed the inside so it would stop rubbing on the internals of my upper. So that's what's going to happen if you mix and match. The slack between the bolt carrier from the DPMS and the Bushmaster, which is only created because of the thickness of their alloy here. This will ruin your internals over thousands and thousands of rounds. And I maybe mentioned in my other videos, my DPMS, I keep saying thousands and thousands. It's just because I've lost count. I can't keep track of how many BBs I've shot through these guys and how many CO2. I'd say at least 5,000, maybe 6,000 through my DPMS, maybe 1,000 through my Bushmaster, and maybe 500 through my A4P. But yeah, mix and match all you want, but just be careful if you mix and match your DPMS and your any of the other models. You gotta swap. You gotta swap everything, and even then, if you have a DPMS, do not worry. As you can see, my buffer tube, I've polished it, I grinded it. If you got a DPMS and the only thing that's bumming you out is the stock, hopefully you stuck around all this time. Look, I'm not in it for the pizzazz. I'm doing it to share some information. The only thing from the stock is bugging you is the cheek biter part here. For a long time, this is what I had on my DPMS. I just took out the buffer tube, I sawed off the edge, and I crazy glued up the top to the bottom, and this becomes an adjustable stock up and down on your DPMS stock. See, it still fits. So yeah, mix and match all you want, because now all the next videos, guys, they're gonna require tools. You're gonna have to know what you're doing. You're gonna have to be willing to void your warranty. And yeah, if I missed anything about mix and matching, by the way, guys, the inner barrels, you're gonna have to watch out, but I'll get into the inner barrels. I'll get into the stocks. I'm gonna put links, and yep, have fun plinking, guys. This platform is amazing.